Welcome to a world
where nothing is quite as it seems.
Welcome to Fake Britain.
Get out of the floor now! Put your hands behind your back now!
Here at the Fake Britain house, I'll reveal the sophisticated fakes that are flooding the market, conning people like you and me, and making money for the criminals.
And I'll be going round the country with the experts, helping identify what's real and what's fake.
And we'll investigate the fraudsters who are selling dangerous counterfeits so that you don't fall for a fake. Coming up,
it was like being burnt with cigarette ends.
the fake Botox treatment that left one woman with life-changing injuries.
My face felt that chemical burning and it's just on fire. I came quite close to death.
Fake online reviews ruining small businesses all over the UK.
Every time a review comes through, we're worried it's about to start again.
The deadly fake camping stoves marked as safe that are anything but.
They are incredibly dangerous products.
And I'm looking at AirPods. There are loads of fakes on the market, and our experts tell us the damage fakes can cause.
Oh wow, that's unbelievable. That's off the scale.
It's fair to say some people get better looking with age. And some turn to cosmetic procedures like Botox, which should only be administered by healthcare professionals. But we've discovered there are people around the world who are making fake Botox, and one horrifying case has come to light in the UK. Over 100,000 Botox injections are carried out in the UK each year. It costs around £350, and Dr. Dan Fenton has people queuing up at his London clinic.
Botox provides really, really good wrinkle reduction with very little in the way of complications so long as it's administered safely.
Today he's carrying out a genuine Botox procedure.
So what I need for you to do is just to have your eyes closed for me, and we'll start now.
Although you don't need any formal qualifications to administer Botox, there are guidelines in place to ensure it's used correctly and safely.
Having guidelines in place are very important. Anti-wrinkle treatments are only administered by trained medical professionals.
And it's vital to ensure you're using the genuine Botox brand purchased through a reputable supplier. Sadly, there are fakers offering this service, and there's not much they wouldn't inject into someone's face for a few £100s. The picturesque coastline of Dorset, home to Marcel King.
I didn't really know much about Botox at all, other than celebrities were all having it done. They all looked a lot younger, and without having to go under the knife, I just felt a few injections and it knocks a few years off your face.
She saw an advert on Facebook that offered simple Botox treatments in West London.
The advert looked legitimate, and there was just a mobile number to book in for a session, which I did, and made an appointment for a few days' time.
When that day arrived, she drove to the London address she was given. A private home, not a clinic.
This guy turns up. I saw that he'd driven up in a brand new BMW again. That gave me no cause for concern. If he'd turned up in an old banger, I might have been questioning it. But everything looked kosher.
The guy in question was Ozan Melin. He was going to perform the procedure on Marcel.
I was just plonked down in the kitchen. The only thing I asked was, you are going to use those fine needles like I've seen on TV? And he held up what looked like a dog vaccination needle to me and said, no, these are better. He said, I do it really fast so you don't feel it. And he also said, no pain, no gain. And I thought, well, that's true. When the needles started going in, it was incredibly painful, and I couldn't wait for it to be over, because one injection after another and after another, and they felt quite deep. But I thought, well, it'll be over soon, and then my face will look better in a few days, and it'll all be worth it. And that's all that was going through my mind, really.
She paid Melin £300 and headed home.
I just thought, well, hopefully in 2 or 3 days I'll start to see the benefits of the Botox, and all that pain from the injections would be worth it.
But sadly, this wasn't the case.
And I just kept looking in the mirror and there was no change whatsoever. So 2 weeks later I booked in again. And my husband said to me as I was leaving, why don't you go somewhere proper? And I said, what's the worst thing that can happen? And it was like famous last words.
Marcel prepared herself for a second set of injections.
Round 2 was excruciatingly painful. He did say, I don't dilute it as they recommend because it works quicker. It was like being burnt with cigarette ends, and at one point, because he said if it hurts, put your hand up. At one point I put my hand up, I thought I can't take any more, and he said, oh, there's only one more anyway. And I gave him another £100, and I actually couldn't wait to get out of there because I could feel my forehead really burning.
As soon as she left the house, she realised something was seriously wrong.
By the time I got in the car, my forehead was swelling out like Frankenstein's monster, and it was really red and really burning, and I couldn't wait to get home.
Luckily, she made it home, but was in a lot of pain. She claims Ozan Melin just told her to take ibuprofen, but the problem was more profound than that. This photo was taken the next morning. Marcel was now in hospital.
They rushed me into resus. I was in there for about 6 hours. My face felt that chemical burning. I mean, it's just on fire.
Emergency medication was needed to halt the terrible effects of whatever it was that had been injected into her face.
I had a load of steroids, antihistamines. I was hooked up on a drip. My blood pressure was high. I had tachycardia. And apparently I came quite close to death.
Ashton Collins is one of the co-founders of Save Face. It's a national register of accredited practitioners of cosmetic surgery. She'd received a complaint from a woman called Carol Kingsnot about Ozan Melin. Carol's face was left severely swollen after having Melin's Botox injections, and he'd even told her he was a qualified doctor.
So when checks were made with the General Medical Council, who regulate doctors and surgeons in the UK, and they'd had no record of him whatsoever. So that proved that he was using fake credentials. He was not a surgeon, he was just a fake, bogus doctor.
By now the police were involved, and there was another shocking discovery to come about the Botox Ozan Melin was injecting.
Allergan, who manufacture genuine Botox in the UK and the US, the police contacted them to see if they had any record of any orders placed by Ozan Melin, and they confirmed that they had no record of him ever ordering any of the genuine products.
It's not known exactly what Ozan Melin injected into people's faces. The police suspect it was a substance he'd imported from China.
What was really surprising there is that when she contacted him with the symptoms of quite clearly having an anaphylactic shock, his advice was take a couple of ibuprofen and put a cold flannel on your face. And so at no point did he show any care or compassion for, what could have been a fatal accident for Marcel. She could have lost a life.
Ashton is horrified that someone could use fakery to gain people's trust, only to throw their lives into jeopardy.
These women that were treated by Ozan Melin actually went to him to feel better about themselves. So what set out as a bit of a confidence boost for these women turned out to be an absolute nightmare that spanned years and years.
In court, Ozan Melin was found guilty of grievous bodily harm in relation to the procedure he carried out on Carol Kingsnot. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison. It took 3 weeks for the swelling to Marcel's face to calm down. It left her with permanent damage to her facial muscles.
My face looked like I'd had a stroke. One side is up, one side was down. It's still a bit like that. I've got damaged muscles either side of my mouth, and I've got a damaged nerve here, and that will probably be there for life.
To learn Ozan Melin was using fake Botox on her has completely knocked her confidence and trust.
Somebody could take a substance that they had no idea what it was, stick it in your face for a few £100. I was really angry. And I could have died.
But sadly, bogus Botox isn't the only fake out there.
Not only have we seen a huge rise in the number of people, claiming fake credentials, pretending to be doctors, nurses, dentists when they're not, we've also seen a huge rise in sourcing fake products from abroad illegally over the internet, and you don't know exactly what's in it. It could be, at best case scenario, nothing, saline solution, or at worst case scenario, it could be a similar product to what Paul Marcel was injected with, and it's not worth taking the risk.